St. John the Philosopher here, and I'm here with my boy Tony Colombo, 97.1.
I made it. I finally made it.
Yeah, for real. This is. It's been a while since we've actually been together on one of my videos.
Yeah.
And this is his first time in the studio.
That's right. It's not my first time on the channel, but it's the first time that I've made it here to the actual place where the videos are made. I've finally been invited to the home of St. John the Philosopher.
He's in the lair.
Stoked. I love it.
Yes. And we are here to talk Star Wars. I've been getting a little too serious with all the political stuff going on. We got impeachment, this, and people talking about coronavirus and all this stuff. And I was like, I need a video where I just get to geek out a little bit. And
I might be more angry about Star Wars than I am some of the politics
and
that
then
are happening.
And then there's all that. I mean, because we see each other pretty much on a regular basis now, because I got that regular hit on the Annie Fry show every Friday, 1 to 3. And every time we touch just a little bit on Star Wars. It's like, hey, did you see the and I'm like, we need to talk about this.
Yeah, I've been dying.
We need to discuss these things. We have things to get into right now.
Yeah, I've been dying to do this. We one of my shows on the radio station is called The Weekend Report, and this is a little shameless self-promotion here.
Please.
We do weekly movie reviews with my producer, who is a member of the St. Louis Film Critics Association, and so he's got a lot of opinions about movies, and he's a big Star Wars and Marvel geek, just like we
just
are.
like us.
And so I've been telling him, we've been talking about during those movie reviews how much we want to talk about Star Wars. But the way we do our movie reviews is like quick little 5-minute brand. You know, we don't really get into spoiler reviews and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So we have not been able to do it. But I've been talking over and over again how much I've been wanting to do this. So now we're finally here.
We have to. We have to get into this. And now, since the Rise of Skywalker is the latest of the movies to come out, and I finally got to see it. I'll say I finally got around to seeing it. We'll talk about that in a second. I think we're going to start right there. Okay. So first, just as a baseline for my audience, who if they don't know already, what are your general impressions of the Rise of Skywalker?
It ruined everything. What was left, the few pieces that were left after The Last Jedi, was finished off by the Rise of Skywalker. So, should we say spoiler?
Oh yeah,
warnings?
I mean, you know what? I think
Spoilers ahead.
Yeah, I'll put a spoiler warning here.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? You clicked here for a reason. You know what you're getting. Yeah, so I was excited going into... I mean, I was stoked to see Star Wars coming back. I didn't hate the prequels like some people did. I didn't think they were great. I had a lot of... I had issues with Jar Jar Binks like everybody else did. And midichlorians, and there's parts of it that I didn't like. But by and large, I didn't hate the prequels, and I was excited about this new trilogy. And number 7 came out, and I thought it was fine, especially knowing that there were 2 more coming.
Right.
I knew it was just basically A New Hope redone, but that was okay with me. So it wasn't great, but it was fine, and it set up a lot of really cool questions. And I thought, it's a good starting point.
Maybe there's something coming along.
Yeah,
right?
it's fine with me. And then, the next 2.
What's really funny is before, as we were in the lead up to the Rise of Skywalker, I remember having this conversation with Tony because, we were both ardent detractors of The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
And if you don't know exactly what our beef is about that, you can check out the video, which I will link in the description, about The Last Jedi and what we think about it. Because I did the whole video all by myself, but Tony has co-signed it on multiple occasions.
Many times. Every time I don't have the energy to argue about The Last Jedi, I just send whoever I'm arguing with a link to that video that he's talking about, which you can find on the channel here.
Yes.
And so if you want to know exactly where we were both sitting after The Last Jedi, watch the video.
There it is. So the thing is, after that, we kind of discussed, okay, what are you expecting out of this new movie? What's gonna come next? And I made this analogy. I said, okay, the first movie was okay, kind of like you said. I agree with Tony in that regard, that the Force Awakens was a decent movie. So you have a slice of bread. So and, and then you have The Last Jedi. A gigantic turd sitting on that slice of bread. So the thing is, even if you have the best slice of bread possible in the Rise of Skywalker to go on top of that sandwich, you still have a turd sandwich.
Right.
So that's kind of the my feeling going in. So I wasn't expecting much because of what The Last Jedi did. But the thing is, even if it turned out to be a good movie, I was kind of ruined for the entire trilogy. Yeah. And that's kind of where we are right now. But so how did you feel sitting in the theater for Rise of Skywalker?
Well, okay, so I may or may not have watched it in the theater. We have to.
How did you feel
after
as
I watched
you sat watching wherever you sat?
If you want to cut that out, you can. You don't have to, though. I'm not ashamed.
Hey,
I've seen the movie. Let's just say that.
There are ways to do that.
Yeah. How did I feel? I just kept getting more and more shocked. I got more and more angry with every I was, we're gonna do this. Oh, we're gonna do this. Oh, we're gonna do this. Like, it just, I don't know that we have the time, or there's so many reviews on YouTube that you can go that are 2 hours long, that go step by step.
Oh yeah, every scene
and break it all apart. And
in fact, I might link a few in the description.
Yeah, and a lot of them are right, but there's just, when you're a big Star Wars fan, and you're into it for I love Star Wars because it created this universe that had these great characters within it, and there were rules. Yes. And there, like any other, like our universe, there are just rules to the world.
It's the way things work.
Yeah, and the characters had to work within those rules to get what they needed to win the day. And The Last Jedi, and especially The Rise of Skywalker, just broke all the rules. Broke and changed all the rules.
Everything is different.
And so, being a fan from the old days, it's harder for me to accept than somebody who might be watching these movies first, or maybe just watch the old movies to kind of get ready for these new movies and didn't really live with the older movies for their entire lives like we did.
Yeah.
But when I'm watching these and you're thinking, that's not how the Force works. That's not how space travel works. That's not how any of that. Like, they break all the rules, and so it just takes me completely out of that universe that I fell in love with.
Yeah, definitely.
And so that's why I didn't enjoy myself.
One of the things I found was that the Rise of Skywalker had a relentless pace to it. It is, every time, and I think this is something that I've discovered about J.J. Abrams over the course of seeing many of his work. That he likes to distract you with lights and if you watch the Star Trek movie, there were a lot of lens flares, right? The lens flares were there to cover up things. They were there to distract you.
Exactly right.
Hey, look at the bright lights. Don't never mind what's going on in this hand. There's a bright light way over here. So that's kind of how I felt with everything that was going on, like literally everything that was going on in that movie.
Yeah.
So we would go, okay, now we need this MacGuffin to get this place, right? We needed the Wayfinder.
I'm so glad you used that word.
The MacGuffin. Yes. We need the Wayfinder, right?
I almost brought over here with me one sheet that had the definition of Mary Sue on it, and then another sheet that had the definition of MacGuffin on it.
Yes, because this was all about a Mary Sue pursuing
multiple
MacGuffins.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So that's kind of how it was, all wrapped in a mystery box, right? Because we had no idea what was going on. And that's the thing. J.J. Abrams escapes having to answer the questions that his mystery box is set up by throwing one thing after another at you. Like, let's take the diversion to the desert planet, right? That at some point They were going to find a dagger, a Sith dagger, I believe it was, that would lead find the way to the Wayfinder, and the Wayfinder is the way to a planet called Exegol, right? So, yeah, did you follow that?
Yeah.
And
MacGuffin 1 to MacGuffin 2 to find Exegol.
Well, and the thing is, the only reason she knew about MacGuffin 1 was because of MacGuffin point 1, which was Luke's notes. Because Luke was the original pursuer of this dagger, right? Yeah. So that's
there was another MacGuffin, but Kylo got it. So
Kylo got the first Wayfinder.
It was like,
but there are only two.
MacGuffin.
But there are two.
We can't have that MacGuffin, so we got to go get the other MacGuffin because Kylo got the first MacGuffin.
Okay,
that's like real. This is real.
This really happened.
But your point about JJ and the way the movie is just like at this breakneck pace, that's exactly right. Because you're like, oh, Force ghosts can like do stuff in the real world, but they don't even want you to be able to think about it. Like it's just they break a rule and then they just are moving so fast that they're thinking like, oh, they don't even give people time to unpack what just happened. So because we're just gonna keep it moving.
So that's really what this scene did for me. It really cemented the fact that what was going on. So as part of that search, as part of the search for the dagger, in order to find the Wayfinder, in order to find the planet, they went to this desert planet. Hey, look, another desert planet. It makes you feel like Tatooine, right?
Yeah.
And it's full of people at basically, the alien equivalent of Burning Man.
Burning Man, that's exactly right.
Right? And there's a festival
Planet
and all these little
Coachella.
seal-faced miniature creatures running around giving everybody necklaces. Hey, yeah, it's fun, right? In the meantime, there are First Order troops kind of walking around. Apparently, they're okay with all this merriment, even though they're supposed to be the evil empire, right? And somewhere along the way, the Sith trooper who stumbles upon this group of people looking for, I think it was Rey, Finn, and Poe. Finally, the trio who were supposed to be the big deal.
Yes.
Their first scene together, basically.
Yeah. In
right?
movie 3.
Movie 3 is the first scene together, and we're supposed to believe they have
another
this great
example of
relationship.
The first movies having great characters that cared about each other and had complicated relationships.
Immediately.
Yeah, Leia and Han and Luke, they had complicated relationships and they had ups and downs and they had to figure out, if they liked each other, and then
we got 3 movies of that.
Yeah, we watched them develop into loving each other and being best friends and
family.
And Han and Leia, becoming family. These characters have done nothing together.
Right.
They've done nothing.
And this scene is the one that's supposed to be
they don't even know each other.
Our first adventure with the main cast of this trilogy is on this desert planet. And okay, so then the stormtrooper finds them. Hey, there's an APB out for these guys, basically. Hey, stop it. This dude takes an arrow to the face out of nowhere. Before we have a chance to figure out what the heck is going on,
right?
He takes an arrow to the face in the middle of this festival, by the way. Nobody says anything. But before you can process the fact that nobody says anything, and this guy in Sith Trooper armor somehow took an arrow to the face, and that actually worked. See, before you had the chance to think about that thing too, this masked man comes out, and if you've been watching these movies, you know exactly who it was. If you saw the trailer, you know who this was. And he says, "Follow me." And then 2 seconds later, there's no mystery, no. I mean, they attempt the mystery because of the helmet,
right?
But it's dispelled so quickly, and you already know anyway. And he goes, "Hey, it's Lando Calrissian.
It's Lando.
Hey, Lando."
And JJ's counting on everybody going, "Lando.
Hey,
I know Lando. I remember Lando. I have fond memories of Lando.
Yes, all the good feelings.
Now this is a good movie because there's Lando. Yay!"
A guy I watch on YouTube calls these member berries.
Yeah,
you remember.
Great. That's great.
You remember. And
I love that.
Oh, it's sweet.
I love that.
It's a member berry. Here is a member berry. It's Lando. Everybody loves Lando, right? And in the 4 seconds that we have to process the fact that Lando just happens to be in this exact same place, and he simply tells you, well, Luke and I were looking for the dagger too, and I just decided to stay.
Yeah.
For 30 years.
For 30 years.
On a desert planet. Lando general hero of the rebellion.
Right.
He probably would have been a highfalutin muckety muck in the New Republic.
And ran his own planet.
He at one point he ran his own. So
could have went back there.
Dude could have been running an entire star system because he was a freaking hero of the rebellion,
right,
in the New Republic. But no, he decided to just chill on a desert planet
after Luke left.
Yeah,
for 30 years.
Yeah, no Colt 45, no women.
We didn't even talk about the member berry that started the whole movie. The Emperor.
The Emperor. The Emperor speaks. The dead speak.
That's all you get. That's all you get. You get the line from episode 2 where he says that Siths can. It's something about unnatural.
Oh yeah.
Powers
the
that some
powers of the dark side allow you to have powers that many would consider unnatural.
Something like that. But that's all you get. That's all you get. Listen, the Death Star exploded in outer space.
Wait, he exploded first.
Yeah, that's a great point.
They threw him down a shaft and boom.
He exploded.
Mm-hmm.
The Death Star exploded.
Mm-hmm.
Then, if you're to believe what happened after that, the Death Star crashed into Endor.
There was enough left to crash,
which would have
decimated,
which would have destroyed Endor. If the moon,
if a giant chunk of the moon
and then fell on us, it's over. But whatever. So
it's the size of Texas. No big.
Go and watch the explosion of the Death Star from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, repeatedly.
And then the first scene that you see inside the Death Star wreckage, there's still glass. there's doors work.
Yeah. Yep. The throne room.
Yeah.
Is intact.
There's glass and there's like windows that are still intact and doors work.
You remember the throne room, right? You remember? I have fond memories of the throne room because that's where Luke truly became a Jedi, right?
So now the beloved story of the Skywalkers, the beloved story of Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, his whole character arc of being born pure and good and doing good things and then turning his back on the Jedi and becoming the worst man in the galaxy only to be redeemed by his son who then saves the galaxy again. None of it counts. None of it counts. He didn't do any of it.
No.
They didn't save anything. They didn't kill anyone. They didn't stop anything. They didn't. It's rendered meaningless.
It's a meaningless political victory, temporary political victory.
Yeah, it's rendered meaningless, and
we got so basically from the Star Wars. The point of Star Wars is we got a 30-year reprieve from the Empire before the First Order, which is just the Empire Redux, comes back and takes over the galaxy really quickly.
Yeah.
By the way, and out of nowhere, and just
And now he's got a new fleet of thousands of ships.
Then there's the
that
fleet.
Are fully staffed.
Yes.
Have full crews.
And
thousands of
each
people.
Each one has Death Star capabilities. And they have a super laser that can destroy a planet.
Yeah. Yes.
All of them.
I don't mean to jump ahead.
We keep going.
I know. There's one thing. Well, we don't want it. We talked about this before we started. We don't want this to go too long, but there's just so much to talk about. So it's going to be scattered.
And we're everywhere.
So, but to get back to where you were.
Yeah. On the desert.
On Burning Man
planet.
Mm-hmm. When they've now been discovered by the First Order for some really ridiculous reasons there too. Some force Skyping and
force Skype plus force teleport.
Force teleport again. Rule breaking. This is what?
Yes.
What is this?
So if for y'all who don't know, the Last Jedi set up the Force Skype, right? Is the idea that you can communicate across great distances with somebody, and that's actually kind of interesting. The idea of them now, the way they executed it is horrible.
Yeah, and if it was something that the Jedi could have done in the past.
Why use
why
all those communicators?
Yeah, why didn't they? If Jedis could do this, or Force people that are strong in the Force can communicate in this way, why did they never do it for thousands of years before that.
Stop asking
I know,
questions.
we gotta keep...
There's
another action
there's
scene
action
on.
sequence.
Look, there's a cool fight happening.
Yeah, they're chasing, right? Because immediately, before you have a chance to ask any of these questions.
I've not heard anybody mention this. So to jump ahead to the end, but also stay right where you're at.
Yes.
The whole point of the movie is they've got to get to Exegol in a certain amount of time before the fleet of Star Destroyers gets out of the atmosphere of the planet because they can't turn on
their
shields
in the atmosphere
until they're in outer space because that's not how shields work. That's how it's explained to us, is that's how shields work. They can't turn on the shields until they're in outer space, so we've got to get to Exegol before they get into outer space, because once they're in outer space and they can turn on their shields, they're going to be too much to destroy. I can't believe I've not heard anybody say that, and I haven't watched even close to all the spoiler reviews of this, but the ones I've watched have not mentioned this. In that chase scene on Burning Man planet, the Stormtroopers are chasing them, and first of all, they're chasing them on things that have wheels.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is dumb.
In a universe with
nobody has wheels in Star Wars.
That everything floats.
But they needed to have wheels because of the way they defeated them, so they had to put wheels on it so they could defeat them the way that they wanted to defeat them. But anyway, those little speeders that they're chasing them on have shields.
That's right.
They have shields
they were shielded.
Activated.
That's right.
And they're shooting, and the good guys are shooting at them, and they have their shields on.
Yep. It's like, oh no, we can't defeat them because they have shields.
Right. But the whole point of the movie is we have to get to Exegol before they get in outer space, because that's when they can turn on their shields. Because you can't turn on shields until you're in outer space, because shields don't work in a planet's atmosphere, except they worked in a planet's atmosphere earlier in the movie. These are the things. These are the things.
Or any other time that we've seen them in Star Wars. Everything has shields. Everything big enough to have shields has shields.
Right. Whether they're on a planet or in outer space or anywhere else, they always have shields.
Actually, it's probably wrong that the stupid ground speeder things had shields because they're so small. Things that small tended not to have shields because shields take apparently a lot of juice. But that's a whole. There's so much. Okay, so
they fall in a hole.
So they're on Burning Man planet. They're being chased. They get there. The inevitable thing happens to the wheeled vehicle. In a universe where most things don't have wheels, is you throw a rope
and
out,
you would especially
not
have those type of wheeled vehicles on a planet like that has the terrain of that planet.
Yeah, but like sand and rocks and things that make it difficult and.
But they did.
Yeah.
So they fall in a hole.
Yeah, they fall in a hole. Because there's black quicksand-like stuff, right? And not even a Jedi who. The first time we see her is floating above the ground.
She's flying.
Rey's
flying the first time you see her in the movie.
Yep.
But she won't.
And she
won't fly here.
It's like there's nothing to her, because she even does a little flip at the end after she lands. Like oh, I'm so frustrated. I can't do the thing I want to do. So
flying's very easy for her.
Just really easy. So she gets stuck in the
quicksand. Be a great time to fly in the quicksand
and lift. We've seen her lift tons of rock. At the very end of The Last Jedi, right? She lifted a friggin' mountain to move, so they could escape the base. She can't lift her friends out of this sand. No, it just eats them. As far as they knew, they were all gonna die.
Yeah.
As far as they knew.
And the most powerful person in the galaxy who can lift mountains and fleets of ships and fly herself suddenly can't.
It's like...
Because we need her to not be able to. Because we need her to go down in the hole.
Right.
And find the thing.
Because underneath the quicksand, pay attention. I'm only going to say this once.
This is either the best or the worst review of this movie ever. Because this is literally how your brain has to process this thing.
So
it's that big of a mess.
They fall through the quicksand into a cave system.
Where the ceiling of the cave system is...
the quicksand.
It just stops. And now it's a roof. A ceiling. That was a quicksand falling down.
Okay, so at this point I have to say that while I was in the theater one of the things I realized that I was doing. I didn't even, it wasn't even registering until maybe the fourth or fifth time that I did it. I would do this. You know what I mean? You throw.
Yeah. What? It should be the thumbnail. You and I going.
That's a good thumbnail right there. All right. See, that's how the magic happens here, folks.
Yeah.
So I found myself doing that several times.
Yeah.
Because just from the opening where I didn't know what was going on to Leia floating, looking like if anybody has seen the Avatar: The Last Airbender at the very end when Aang is super amped up, he pulls all the elements around him and they're like spinning around him like he's an atom and they're all like his electrons floating. She's doing this with rocks. She's just floating there. I'm like, hey, it's the Avatar.
Right.
That's immediately the thought I have. It's like, oh wow, it's Aang. She's got all her elemental powers in check now.
And pull him out of the sand.
And I did that. And she can't get out of the sand.
Can't pull him out of the sand.
But once she's in the sand, and before we can ask the question, how is the sand the roof? They're attacked, or at least threatened, by a gigantic sand snake thing of some sort, right?
Yeah.
That happened immediately.
I called it a worm.
It was
snake's probably better.
Oh,
he's a sad, angry, wounded worm. Yeah.
Yes, and
why is he angry?
He's wounded.
Yeah. So what do we do?
Well, we don't kill it, because killing an angry animal, even though you're probably in its den and it would most likely attack you anyway, is not the Jedi way. Even though killing
right.
big animals that are threatening you is something we've seen in Star Wars before, and we understand. She heals it.
She heals it
with her Force powers.
With Force healing, which we've never seen before.
Because that's the thing.
And now think back to every single movie and all the different times that if a Jedi can heal somebody, why didn't they heal them?
Yep.
Why is Qui-Gon dead? Why is anybody dead? Heal them. Because you can. Because you're a Jedi.
And she explains very briefly, very quickly, just so we understand what just happened. She's like, I just transferred a little bit of my Force to him.
Yeah.
That's
like she knew that the whole time.
Yeah. Those, I'll tell you what. Those ancient texts, the ancient Jedi texts that she got from Luke's stash, basically, the ancient tree, apparently have so much knowledge that the rest of the Jedi had forgotten for the last 60 years. And she's just the right person at the right time.
Yoda didn't read the books.
No.
No. I want to bounce back to The Last Jedi for a second.
Yeah.
Because The Last Jedi was not a movie that I liked. However, it set up some things. And it set up Rey's lineage. And it showed...
She's nobody.
Right. She's nobody. And which I didn't like, but... The whole message, I felt that the takeaway message from The Last Jedi, if there was like one positive thing that I could say about that movie, was that it went out of its way to prove, including the last scene with the little kid,
Broom Boy,
that anybody, you don't have to be from one of these special families to be somebody in this universe, to be a powerful Force user. You can be literally anybody.
Yes.
And so, okay, that's not what I wanted.
Right.
But okay, that's what we're going with. That's the message.
We'll take
anybody
that.
can be special.
We'll take that.
All right, let's go with that. No. No. Rise of Skywalker tried. I think JJ tried to fix all of the things that people like me didn't like from The Last Jedi.
He had a checklist.
But you can't People didn't like Rose Tico, so let's take her out. Let's
Yeah.
make her meaningless. People didn't like Rey's lineage.
There was literally a part where they were like, "Hey, Rose, we could use you." She's like, "No, I gotta look at some maps.
I'm gonna stay here." Yeah.
I gotta
we
do
got
some homework."
So they basically don't even use. I think she's on for like 90 seconds on screen
in total.
We have to make Rey a Palpatine. We haven't said that
Yeah,
yet.
well, you have to give her some significant lineage.
She's Palpatine's
right?
granddaughter. So
Don't ask about her parents.
She's from that family. Yeah. What up? Yeah. Don't ask about the parents because none of that makes sense.
No, doesn't matter.
Yeah. And so they just keep and
Oh.
everybody was mad about how Luke became this like threw the lightsaber away.
Right.
So when Rey does it later in the movie, throws hers away because she's frustrated. He catches it and she says, "I'm doing what you did," and he says, "I'm wrong."
I was
and
wrong.
then literally,
He winked at the camera.
he literally went at the camera like, "See, we fixed it."
You should
Like, if you're gonna-
this is a Jedi weapon. You should treat it with more respect.
If you entrusted Rian Johnson to make that movie and write that movie, and even though you didn't like it, you're stuck with it. You have to live now within the parameters of what was created.
Yes.
You can't just change everything.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. They just changed everything. And so the some people did like The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So the people that did like it,
they
hate Rise of Skywalker.
They are
because
not happy.
JJ just wrecked everything that they did, and the people that are like me that didn't like any of them, you're still breaking every rule that was ever written.
You couldn't fix it.
So you didn't win me back by making Rey a Palpatine. So you didn't win. You didn't fix anything.
You didn't
make
do
anything
it.
better.
So, and that
sorry.
kind of no, you're good, and that circles back to I guess basically the wider discussion about
I need a drink.
No, please, about Disney Star Wars, right? Ever since Disney took over Lucasfilm, this is their saga, right? These are their movies, and the fact that these movies are so disjointed, at least says to me that they did not plan this stuff out.
Right.
Like they didn't have a singular vision about what the new trilogy was going to be. They said, we're going to make a new trilogy, and then had no plans whatsoever about what the story would actually do. They just said, we'll just get three, and their original intention was to have three different directors.
Right.
Do each
And then they
one.
realized, crap, that was not a good idea.
That was dumb.
And I think that JJ maybe did have a running idea for all three, but then when Rian Johnson did what he did, it just screwed JJ's whole plan up.
That's true. That's true.
And if you have a plan, then like Gabe just said, don't have three directors scheduled to each tell their own story. If you're gonna have an idea of the direction you want to go in, then go in that direction.
Yeah.
Don't hope that the next guy that comes in goes along the same lines that you want him to go, and that you can kind of keep your vision going.
Yeah.
Even with giving up control.
I've taken a few writing classes in my day, and one of the things that is both the most fun sometimes in a silly way, and the most frustrating is when they do the chain story. So basically, you get to write one page of a story, and then the next person gets to write the next page of that story. Now, because everybody has a separate vision, separate understanding, they want to express their creativity in completely different ways, you end up with a really weird chimera of a story. It's not a lion, it's not a snake, it's not an eagle, it's some weird conglomeration of that thing, right? So that's what this feels like. It feels like, there was somebody who started a story and had an idea where it was going to go, because every individual has a certain vision of things. And then the next guy gets it and he wants to go in a completely different direction. Maybe a deconstruction of Star Wars could have happened in a different movie. But Rian Johnson having the middle movie of a trilogy was exactly the wrong thing to do.
That's right.
And it broke so many things. And really, in at least to me, the failure of the rise of The Last Jedi to entertain me and to even hold together in the canon exposed things in the first movie that I let go because I was so entertained and I was so excited to have a new Star Wars trilogy coming up. And one of those being the fact that they didn't really set up things to take the Skywalker saga anywhere. Because like you said, they basically undid the entire first 6 movies. Like the point of the first 6 movies was it was basically Anakin's story.
Yeah.
Rise and fall and redemption.
Yep.
Right? And the prophecy was that he was going to bring balance. And part of that bringing of balance was to bring down the Emperor and to destroy the Empire.
And it wasn't perfect, and it gets messy at times, but that through line,
oh man, it's solid.
It's pure the whole way through.
You get it. Yeah. Every step of the way, you get that's what's part of that story, and that's why you can actually watch 1 through 6 in order, and you get it.
And that's why it's so hard to look back at those movies now, and knowing in The Last Jedi that Yoda can shoot force lightning to such an extent that he can burn down a building.
Yeah, pretty much.
Destroy a temple with the force lightning. And Luke, as a ghost, as a dead character, can interact physically in this world. So
with a lightsaber.
So now
with a lightsaber.
Yeah, so now you're wondering,
why didn't the ghosts
help? Why, if they can shoot lightning and they can fight with lightsabers,
that boy is
why were they not doing that? Yeah.
Is he? Is he though?
Obi-Wan could have gone in the throne room in The Last Jedi with Luke.
Just wrecked him.
And even the odds with Vader and the Emperor. Because they can, but they couldn't.
It could have been 3-on-2. With Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Luke going against...
I feel like a schizophrenic right now because I've got I also want to talk about lights jumping to light speed.
Light speed skipping.
And how that is so perfectly explained in the first movie.
Han Solo.
How difficult it is to do this.
Yes.
And now we just...
You can't just jump into light speed blind, boy. You'll run into a planet or fly through a sun.
Right.
It ain't like crop dusting or whatever.
And now they just jump in and out, and he's jumping out of light speed in this one into very perilous situations.
Why is it every time?
Like, how did you not run into that mountain?
All right. So first of all,
is he taking a 1 in a million gamble every time? Because they don't seem to act like that.
You know, maybe it's my misunderstanding of how light speed jumps work. I'm assuming because he seemed to come out in a planet's atmosphere every time that he was that light speed calculations always have to go between planets. You can't just jump into the middle of space.
Right.
Although they did that in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, but that doesn't count. Hey, remember how we won in the last movie? Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
No.
Because we didn't like it.
No.
The holdo maneuver. I know, there's so many.
That was one in a million shot. You can't do it again.
Yeah. We can't, yeah. It was the whole crux of the last movie, but we can't do it anymore. I think I'm ruining your video.
No.
I'm a mess.
No.
There's so many things. So many things.
There are so many things. And it speaks to the lack of consistent vision. It speaks to the lack of oversight too. I don't think Kathleen Kennedy gave a rip about Star Wars canon.
Obviously. They didn't give a rip about their own canon.
Their own canon.
That they wrote in this series.
That's true.
Like, Gabe has this fancy book right here. You can go and pull they make these like big, thick, beautiful, nice books that fill in some gaps and give you backstories that are collector's items for each movie. And if you go and you look at The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi's books that were put out by Disney, they break their own canon constantly.
Every time.
Explaining the backstories of the different characters and how their powers work and what they can and can't do and the history of the timeline. And they just they break their own canon. So yeah, they definitely don't have any respect for the former canon.
These are some member berries right here. It's just it's just kind of old school. It's like, hey, look at him out in the desert, but then you got the soccer ball over here, and I mean he's cute, and stuff. I mean they could have made a thing, but they made him to make toys.
Yeah, right.
See, I think that's the other thing too. There are so many things that were done specifically to make toys, including the introduction of several characters who were essentially meaningless to the entire story. Carrie Fisher was brought in to play this character called, I don't know, she was on screen for like 5 minutes. Apparently Poe's former love interest and sort of a scoundrel back in the day when he was a spice runner, because it's not on the nose for the Hispanic character to have been a drug dealer. And they made her character. She looks cool.
She does look cool.
She's got this cool helmet, and she's got this red bodysuit.
Kind of like Captain Phasma.
Captain Phasma looks really cool.
Looks super cool.
No. Nope.
A cool figure to have, though.
Yeah.
Perfect example of what I just was talking about. Rian Johnson went out of his way to say that Princess Leia had never been formally trained as a Jedi.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And at the very beginning of Rise of Skywalker, we're told that she went through extensive Jedi training.
She was almost there.
And that's why she's able to train.
She was that close to becoming a Jedi Knight. And she was like, I don't want it because of a Force
when they specifically
there was a
said
flashback
in their canon, after she Mary Poppins through space, which was another rule break from that movie, and they were asked, well, if she's that powerful, is she a Jedi? Did she have training? And they said no. It was survival instinct, basically.
Yeah.
The force powers within her is kicked in, survival instinct kicked in, and that's why she was able to do it. She was never trained. And then this movie starts, and she was extensively trained.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like you're told that she had extensive Jedi.
In fact,
training.
in the flashback, she beats Luke in something or other.
Yeah.
Because Luke's knocked down, and she's helping
she's
him
better
up.
than Luke.
Yep, because everybody's better.
Now everybody's better than Luke.
Yeah.
He's a joke.
Yeah.
Like this whole thing. I'm sorry I ruined your video. No. I never get to come back.
No, it is what it is, because that's the thing. You come out of the movie scatterbrained.
I'm the Disney to your channel. Everybody's gonna remember how great it was before I showed up and then ruined everything. And then I'm the J.J. Abrams, Kathleen Kennedy.
Each video used to be well constructed and scripted, and it just would flow. And
had a point.
And then just one thing after another, and before you can process what just happened, there's another thing coming, and that's how we felt coming out of this movie.
Yes,
it's exactly how we felt. And my wife Janet, she's not the biggest Star Wars fan. She's basically a Star Wars fan by transfusion, basically. So she's just like, well, you like it, so I guess I can like it too. We've decorated basically a quarter of our house to be this geek central, and a half of the stuff is just Star Wars stuff. I got a gigantic Darth Vader, and I've got a robotic R2 and all these other things because I love Star Wars so much. And neither of us came out of that movie remembering much about the movie. Like, in terms of the way we can quote and we can get right into the nitty-gritty of every scene in the previous movies. Like even in the prequels, which I liked okay.
Yeah.
I had my problems with, but even then I could quote you some things right out of that. I can picture the scenes, but then I tried to sit down and think about what was going on in that movie, and there was just so much stuff. My brain was on overload, and it just said, we'll deal with it later. That's really what happened.
The Rise of Skywalker makes Attack of the Clones look like Gone with the Wind. Right?
You have a point.
Real question. When you see your Star Wars collection now, is a part of the joy of seeing that taken away because of or are you able to separate these 3 movies or these 2 movies, and move that aside and remember, like the good times when you look at your stuff?
I think there was a point there where The Last Jedi had messed me up so badly I didn't even want to think about Star Wars at all for a good long while. I was like, because I so wanted, being a Star Wars loyalist, basically, you want the new movies, the new canon, because that's the thing. Every time Lucasfilm releases a movie, it is automatically canon, right? So in order to keep your canon consistent, you'd have to basically do a whole bunch of mental gymnastics to allow certain things that, well, maybe they just didn't know, or maybe it was a special kinds of shields that allowed them to light speed ram something, or maybe there was this and I don't know, maybe Rey is a special sort of being who's very unique. Well, she's a dyad in the Force, which is a neat concept, except for the fact that they never told us anything about it.
Yeah.
And you want that to be part of it, and because I was having so much difficulty, I was like, I'm gonna focus on Marvel for a little while. That's really what was going on right then. That really was, because Endgame was perfection.
Yeah, and I think that Disney tried to make Star Wars Marvel. Yeah, because of the success that they've had with building the Marvel universe. I think that they wanted to try to do the same thing with Star Wars, and they just failed. They just failed miserably.
My dog's over here.
Yes.
Yeah, because he's worried about me because I'm so worked up.
He's like, "Who's this guy ruining your video, Dad?"
I'm okay, buddy. But the thing is, once I decided that Episode 6 is actually the end of Star Wars, I was like,
it's a great end.
I'm good.
It's a perfect way to end it. If I was introducing somebody, my kids or my wife who's not seen, I think she's seen one Star Wars movie,
like half of one.
I would show her episodes 1 through 6, and then I would stop.
Yep.
I would leave it there.
Oh, actually, you know what? I will say that of Disney Star Wars, because Disney Star Wars also includes Rogue One and Han Solo. Mm-hmm. I'd skip Han Solo.
Yeah.
But Rogue One.
Rogue One's good.
One's good.
Yeah.
Rogue One is a great in-between movie, and it works.
Which shows you that they can do it.
They can do it.
Which shows you that they can make a good movie, that they can put this together.
Yeah.
And after Episode 7, they still had a chance. They still had a chance, and they couldn't do it. Yeah. But it's such a, for me, the bottom line is it just, the first 3 especially, and even the prequels to an extent, did such a good job of explaining the way things were and why things were the way they were, and what you could and couldn't do with this power that they call the Force.
They established canon, and they maintained canon.
Yes.
And
as we just mentioned, they couldn't, this last trilogy couldn't even maintain canon within their own movies.
Yeah.
Let alone the 6 ones prior. So that, for me, is why it's so messy. It's cool. Yeah. I mean, if I didn't care about Star Wars...
Oh, yeah, just as a movie,
it's probably a blast.
Neat. That's neat.
To sit there and watch all this magic stuff happening.
And laser swords and space battles and giant spaceships.
Yeah, and wizards.
Space horses running on the outside of Star Destroyers.
There's so many more. Don't even make me start thinking about all this stuff again. Horses on a spaceship.
That
running on the roof of a spaceship.
It could have been cool.
Tilt the ship.
It could have been interesting. But the execution.
Why
is so much about the execution?
Why park the transport with the horses in it so far away? Why not just park right next to where you're going so you don't have to ride horses across them?
Don't.
Chewie's thing was a joke.
Chewie's dead. Oh wait, no, there he is.
Oh, there was another spaceship. How did you miss another spaceship?
Wait.
Oh, we just missed it.
Rey is strong enough to pull a ship out of the air.
Yes.
And then Kylo's strong enough to try and pull it the other direction. And then she accidentally force lightnings it to death.
She's strong enough to know that a MacGuffin that's not even a person is somewhere within a ship that she's not even on, but she can't sense that her best friend is on that spaceship, not that spaceship that I just blew up.
Remember when...
Like, her powers are so incredible.
Remember when Jedi could
But only
feel,
when they need to be.
Remember when Jedi could feel stuff about certain people, or even about when life was extinguished that they had a connection with, right? And you could feel it.
Yes.
Remember, even Leia knew that Luke was okay.
Right. Because she could feel it.
She could feel it. She's like, no, he's okay. We have to go back. We have to go back and get him. Right? Cloud City. See? This is what happens when a movie sticks with you.
Right.
Right? It's all up in here. And then she's just, I killed him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess, oh no.
Yeah.
I'm too powerful.
Yeah.
I'm too powerful for
She
my own
thinks she
good.
killed him.
Yeah.
But then she can't. But then later on, she does feel him before she sees him again and knows that he's alive.
He's alive. I can feel him.
Her great powers only work when when it's convenient.
When the plot requires
And they don't work when
the plot
at other
requires
times. Yeah, when the plot exactly.
Yes,
which is why it's so frustrating. We can fly except for when we need to fly. We can lift things up except when we can't lift things up. We can.
You know, when a main character or a series of characters they seem to be protected against the rules of the universe. Like that's just impossible that they'd be able to do X, Y, and Z. You know, some people have referred to that as plot armor. You know, it's just the plot is so strong around them that it prevents them from taking any damage from things that normally should kill them. And apparently she has reverse plot armor as well. So that, you know, she's powerful enough when the plot requires it, but not powerful enough or skilled enough when the plot requires it. So she's got dual armors that switch on and off depending on what's going on. Speaking of plot armor, remember when Kylo Ren was flying at her in his really cool looking TIE fighter, and she slices the wing off, it crashes, it rolls, and then it explodes, and he just walks out.
He walks out.
And
she did like a cool Matrix flip.
Yeah, the Matrix flip.
To cut the wing off.
Yep. Why was he flying at her so fast?
Because he was trying to kill her.
But was he?
No, because then later on he
says
saves her. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this to your video. Why don't you wrap it up and I'll just be a sad Jedi and be quiet from here on out.
Well, guys,
we went way longer than we thought we were going to.
Yeah,
we didn't stick to the.
We were expecting like maybe a half hour, but you know, an hour of ranting about Disney Star Wars.
I won't be invited back, will I?
Maybe.
I'll be a sad Jedi.
It's a matter of how good your plot armor is. I'm sorry, I couldn't keep a straight face for that one. Okay, guys, look, we're out of time. We could literally sit here for the rest of the evening.
I'm not even close to done.
5 hours. We could talk about every single plot point. We could talk about every single plot point through all three movies that just ruined everything. But the point is ruined. We don't like it. They did bad.
Stop at 6.
Yeah. Stop. If you're going to introduce Star Wars to your friends, I suggest episode 1 and 2 first. Or I'm sorry, episode 4 and 5 first. Okay. So you start with A New Hope, and then Empire Strikes Back. I love Empire. And then they're left with the revelation that Anakin is Luke's father, right? So they get that surprise.
Oh, that's a great, yeah.
And then, kind of like an interlude, you go back and see Anakin's story.
And how he got to where he turned into Vader. From being so good to being so bad.
And then you finish with 6, happy ending, all's well.
I like it.
Yeah, right?
Maybe even watch Rogue One.
Oh, yeah, and then definitely watch Rogue One. Actually, watch...
Maybe 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, Rogue One, and then Jedi.
Maybe. Yeah, something
You
like
figure it out.
yeah. Or Rogue One and 4, because those go perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, that first scene in A New Hope is so much more powerful after you have that last scene from Rogue One where Vader's just tearing everybody to pieces.
Yeah.
You understand why he's turned up to 11 when he gets on the ship, because he knows they have the plans and she's lying to him. You know why those soldiers who come out into the hallway and set up, to be boarded are so freaking scared.
Yeah.
You get it, because, oh man.
Because he just went on a rampage.
You see the difference between talking about these other movies and talking about
the
other
Jedi anymore.
It's like, it's amazing what happens when you actually respect the canon.
Yeah, when there's good Star Wars, it's so good.
It's so good. It really is. So, anyway, there's more Star Wars to be had. Have you watched The Mandalorian yet?
No, I haven't. Again, I just because of this, like I can't get motivated. I can't get Star Wars motivated.
Yeah,
I hear it's good.
Tough. I hear it's good too. And Baby Yoda's cute and all that stuff. I need a Baby Yoda. Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
Okay, we're actually out of time now. You got to get out of my house. Get
and never come back because I ruined the video.
All right, guys. This has been St. John the Philosopher. Goodbye. God bless, and I'll see you in another video.